So we talking about game meat this morning. So Chef Shingi is an ultimate Brine Master South Africa participant, entrepreneur, and operates a business called Outdoor Kitchen Chef. You're okay, Chef ZW. Hey Shingi.
Hey, what's up, Eve? How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. How are you doing?
I'm great. I can't complain.
Alrighty. So we're talking about game meat.
This is true, and I want everyone to know, Kuti, first and foremost, it might be a little bit of a controversial thing, but let's just remember that there's a way that it should be done properly, and it oftentimes is. So we're not encouraging poaching or hunting illegally, right?
Yeah.
We're just trying to say, guys, if you get your hands on this thing, on this meat, you want to treat it properly. And just for the sake, game meat has been a dietary staple across the African continent for centuries. It's not just about the sustenance of the people, but it's a celebration of tradition, of culture, and just an intimate connection with nature. Because Pangopacho, it has to be done. I was saying earlier, we're faced with a bit of a situation now where the country's just said that they're about to cull 200 elephants, right? This is to alleviate some of those drought-stricken provinces or districts in the country, and they're going to feed these people that meat. And but it's actually not such a train smash, and the facts behind it and the fact that it's being done legally is not such a bad thing. And it's being done across the whole African continent. Just our next door neighbors, Namibia, they're about to cull, they've actually just passed all the paperwork and stuff to cull 700 wild animals, and this includes elephants too. So it's not such a big deal if it's done illegally, especially because like in the situation at Tina Susu, we've got maybe a population of something like 85,000 elephants, which is the second highest population of elephants in the whole world, right? And we actually only have a capacity of having maybe half of that amount, which is like 45,000 or something like this, right? So it must be done. And yeah, judge me, hate me, or love me, but it's going to be done properly. And recipe manje derive the full value of such an activity. And it's not going to happen all the time. It's not going to happen consistently either, because it's not sustainable, right? So let's do it right when we get the chance to do it. And game meat, when we're talking about game meat, we're also talking about things like kudu, things like impala, things like warthog. Gosh, in the Victoria Falls, there's the Boma. And if you haven't experienced there, gosh, you will love the way they do their game meat, and it's become such a tradition, and they've managed to do it sustainably as well. So, you want to do some game meat, and if you ever happen to have some on your hands, you're actually going to do it properly, right? So yeah, let's just maybe start touching on the health benefits of game meat. So game meats are often leaner and richer in omega-3 fatty acids compared to farmed animals. Farmed animals are now being thrown into feedlots, and these animals are being fed different types of hormones, and it's actually not the best type of red meat for that matter in our diets. But when it comes to game meats, you're looking at a richer, a leaner, more piece of meat, and this is often associated with healthier qualities in our protein diet. Okay, so those seeking a healthy alternative, you want to enjoy these rich flavors, and I'm going to start by trying to elevate our traditional dining, because this is actually it's a traditional element. Traditional but tradition papa ine mahunter gatherers nguwa kuti vanhu vaitendera vachita sei vachita zvavanoita musango vachivhima and the like. So this is actually quite a very, very organic traditional approach to doing food in our kitchens. So I want to start with the traditional impala stew. And I've had all sorts of game meat, guys, and don't ask me why or how. And if I was to start the list of the stuff that I've actually been fortunate enough to try, you guys might even judge me further. I mean, I've tried everything, literally everything, from giraffe, zebra, warthog, buffalo, chichi. The list goes on. And even elephant itself, I've tried it before. it's an acquired taste, I must say. It is an acquired taste. It's not the conventional thing, by the way. So, you got to get used to it. And that's only if you're fortunate enough. So I do know that the wildlife authorities have this thing where they actually allocate some of the game meat legally to people who have registered to sort of be in the position where they can allocate this. So you will be fortunate enough if you do come across something like that. And let's do it the legal way, guys. At skuda nyama dzinovhimwa dzinenge dzichitengeswa nema hunters anenge achidestroy environment yedu handiti. So just putting that out there. So an impala stew, guys, you want to infuse it with some local herbs. I've spoken about how we should embrace the qualities that come around from the local herbs that grow abundantly in the wild, and this particular impala stew is going to benefit from this mufandi chimuka. Mufandi chimuka ndinoda, guys. Wandiratidza mamwe qualities ezvinhu zvatinazvo zviri abundant kwatiri zvatisati takukwanisa kuti experiment nazvo nekuda kwekuti it's not there on the conventional scale, and it's not there even in the supermarkets enough for us to be able to try and experiment with. And also there's not enough shows like this that are trying to influence people on how to better do some of these things that aren't advertised on the mainstream market. Okay, so you want to have this impala stew with some local herbs, okay, like a nice wild African mufandi chimuka, and then you want to pair this with a nice garlic infusion, alright? And you will serve this with native grains like sorghum or millet, a nutrient dense meal. Chimbomira ipapo umbonyatso imagine kafilet kaya kanenge kari impala kaya kanyatso chekerwa ma cubes akanaka anditika anenge ari even, guys. So when you're cutting meat for a stew, it's so important, like any other meat, as if it weren't game, any other meat. You want to make sure that your cubes that you dice up to throw into the pot are even, so that it actually cooks evenly and the flavors are distributed on an even scale, right? So you want to dice up your impala meat, and you want to put it into a pot that's sizzling with some medium heat oil, and you just want to sear it until it's nice and a deep sort of brown. And before you do anything to it, tata chekera edu madomasi edu, tata chekera ma onion dono pinda first, and you just want to sweat them. So sweating them means you're going to cook them without color. You want to make sure that you actually just get rid of the acidity associated with the raw onion, and you don't go to an extent where you're actually browning them. I don't know why we brown them. Chinenge chikau chacha anizo chakabva kupi
because kana kuita brown onion haina kuibva, saka it has to be brown.
Unozochi kana onion ikasweetwa zviya inobuda kama ka sweetness kainenge inako, so tikazita kuenda ku brown kazhinji kacho people tend to overdo it thinking kuti haina kuibva, and then you get some little bits and pieces of some bitter chunks of onion in there.
And I've also noticed when you sweat it, when you're then eating, it still has that crunchy in it.
Exactly, and that's what you're looking for, because remember, cooking right has also got to do with a lot of textures that we're trying to input into this flavor profile and to put onto our palates, right? Textures are everything, guys. If you don't get the textures right, it might not actually be such a hit of a dish after all. And we want to get it right there. And now waitaka pansering kako kaya anditika wavaisa ma onion ako pepe wamaita sweat in anditika uvatika garlic kaya, you will start to see that flavor coming out, and you don't really want to do much to some of this game meat, just because you want to actually get to appreciate the natural flavors that come with it. But because, hey, I've actually been spoiled for choice and had quite a bit of it, I can sort of play around and infuse different flavors into this, and this is what we're trying to do today. So we've got that mufandi chimuka now. What you've done with this mufandi chimuka is that you've actually left it in some water overnight, okay? And then it's come out and come alive again, and it gets this sort of mintiness that comes with it that you're going to put into your dish. And just like lamb benefits from mint, And lamb is actually quite a very strong, flavorful sort of profile that's different to most other meats, and you get that with your game meat, and it benefits largely from being paired with something like a mint, and this is what you're trying to achieve in this case with this impala stew and infusing it with this mufan chimuka. Wadaro so wakuzoisa zvako madomasi ako mati sha obuda kamvura kaya kanenge kachizopinda munyama kachida kuti supu okay ndakanganisa kuti supu sauce sauce inyatsa kuwirirana nenyama, and then it marries each other, guys. And just so that we make sure that we're keeping it traditional, we are going to serve this with a sorghum or a millet sadza. And yeah, you will love this. You will absolutely love this. Chop up some veggies on the side just to add a little bit of some color, and you'll absolutely have a killer dish. And this is something that you'll probably only see in restaurants. And if you do get lucky, then you can actually do this in the comfort of your own home, okay? I've lived in South Africa for a few years in my life, and these guys absolutely love their game meat, and this is because they actually have ranches where their parks are sustainably growing the populations that they're then gonna cull or sort of put into the population when it comes to consumption, right? And springbok is one of those things. I got to cook a springbok leg when I was part of the Ultimate Braai Master competition in South Africa, and gosh, like I'd actually never done it before, but just because I'd been exposed to different types of game meats before, I nailed it. I hit the nail on the head. Unoza ndakanyatsokarowa ka roast so saka zvitiri kutaura isusu tiri kuda kuti tidile ne ka whole piece kenyama, handitika hatikuda kuicheka this time. Yekucheka impala tamboiita, handitika ezvino zvitakuda kuti tiite isusu inenge ine whole joint yekanyama ka springbok. A similar taste profile to springbok is going to be impala kana kuti mara, and you also find these quite abundant in the wild in Zimbabwe. Again, you don't want to do it yourself, don't do it illegally, please, in the Pota Hangu. We're not going down that road again. But you have this leg now, right? And what you're going to do is you're going to create a dry spice, okay? And just rub it on the surface of this leg. Now, my spice of choice is a thyme-infused orange pepper. Okay, now you'll have some pepper, which is white peppercorns. You'll have some orange, and this orange is actually a dehydrated orange. It includes even my orange peels. So you'll find that there's lots of color that you've already put into the dish already. You'll have that flavor of that citrusy sort of notes coming from those orange segments that are dried. And you will just rub this into the meat, onto the surface of the meat, and let it sit in there for just a couple of hours before you actually put it onto the smoker. So when I'm saying smoking, guys, you can also put this in the oven if you don't have a smoker, and this cooks for a long process. Now what usually happens, like I said before, is that you'll find that game meats have a particular like toughness in most instances, and this is because it's a leaner piece of meat, right? So you want to make sure that it cooks long and slow, and after hours what you'll see is that it won't actually reduce in size as quickly as it would if you didn't cook it slow, right? And then it just becomes juicier and juicier on the inside. It remains pink. That color, that pinkness is what you want to achieve, guys. When you're doing roasted meats, when you're doing smoked meats, or even braai, kana one makatsi chao, don't make sure to achieve a pinkness kanenge kari pakati penyama. Azvirevi kuti hakusi kuibva kwenyama, guys. Kureva kuti wagona iwe kuita treatment inodiwa kuti unyatso kuburitsa maflavors atechida kuti experience panyama yedu iya,
and locked in the juices.
And you lock in those juices, because those juices are everything. Harizi ropa. Okay, kana ra ropa unenge makunge maita process isirio. But what you'll find is that when you actually slice that meat, that piece of meat, when you slice it, you won't get a bloody sort of color on the juices that come out of it when you're cutting it, especially if you let it rest. So one of the key principles is letting that meat rest, letting it sit after the cooking process pasisina heat, pasisina chi, yombogara, because there's a scientific process where when you're cooking something, right? I've explained this before, and I want you guys to know how important this is. There's a scientific process that happens when you're cooking meat where all the juice inside of the meat is sort of going upwards, right? And it's, like imagine boiling water. And then when you're done cooking that, you don't want to just cut it immediately, because that water is going to come down, or that liquid inside of the meat is going to come down. And the moment you cut it while that liquid is still coming down, it all comes out, and then your meat becomes dry. So you want to let it sit and let those juices redistribute inside the nyama, and then you take your knife and thinly slice, and my goodness, you will have a nice succulent roast of game meat. Inengine ka crust ke flavor tataurea kutika orange pepper thyme and then that inside, which is still going to embody the flavors of the natural game meat. And I've done this with springbok. Gosh, I absolutely love it. You get a slightly sweet, earthy flavor, and you want to pair this with some root vegetables. So you want to talk about things like potatoes, some beetroot maybe. In our instance, if you're really trying to be bougie, because you get distinct flavors that are not often paired together. I mean, it's hardly ever done, right? So if you get the chance to do this, you want to do it in such a way that this is maybe going to appear as a once in a lifetime opportunity. I will pair this meat with a citrus glaze, because kana kanyama kakunopakurwa pepeka kanoda kuti kaende kachipenyerera kakaita kununira, so zvekuti unenge uchinyatsonzwa kuti ndapedza bora. And this is a welcome thing for guests, especially special guests that are going to be in your home, and you want to actually keep this meat for such occasions and not do it or overdo it all the time. Because one of the problems we actually have with game meat is that they say kuti kana vanhu vakanyanya kunakirwa neflavor zvinoita demand and supply. Panozinge pane ma illegal practices ekuti vanhu vanenge vakunyanya kuzoita sei kudemanda nyama and we can't get it enough, we can't get sustainable amounts of supply of this game meat if we don't do it right.
Right. Yeah. Taking notes.
Guys, just so you know, I'm blessed enough to be in the position that I am in. It's
okay.
Yeah. And lastly, guys, we've got a warthog stir fry. Now, warthog is just beautiful. It's like a more richer sort of piece of pork, and this thing is just something that you're gonna dice up a nice fillet, toss it into a pan, mix up your stir fry vegetables, that's peppers, different colors, and just serve it with a nice rice and a touch of ginger in there, some chili for some heat, and then
like you're good to go.
Yeah.
Right, so his name is Chef Shingi, and it's a segment we call Your Chef, Your Health. Recipes with a focus on nutrition with our celebrity chef. So right, Shingi, you've got a group. I'm sure people would love to get in that group and get more recipes. What's your group number?
Exactly. So guys, you can touch me on my mobile number. That's 0774 410 008. I'll repeat that, 0774 410-008. Hit me up, send me a WhatsApp message. I'll pop you into the group. It's buzzing. It's always lit up with people that are keen to share some ideas and recipes around creative, healthy food. And you can also catch me on my Instagram. That's at the Chef Life of Shingi, or on Facebook as the OK Chef ZW, which stands for the Outdoor Kitchen Chef.